Hey everybody, good Sunday morning to you all, and this is going to be a top 10 countdown on of the what I consider, and believe me, it was hard for me to figure this out, hard for me to do this because I grew up in this time period. The top 10 80s cartoons. Yep, the top 10 cartoons of the 80s. Now, there will be some ties in certain areas. There are about 3 ties in this countdown, and because there were some cartoons that were so good I could not leave them out. Now I know you're thinking, well, why didn't you just do like a top 15? I could have done that, but the truth is I'm just going to do a top 10. I might do another top 10 of the underrated ones, and the ones that really don't get much love, if you will. But I thought I'd just come here and do this little top 10 countdown and of the top 10 80 cartoons of the 80s. Again, there will be 3 ties in this countdown, so don't be surprised by what you see. Some of my decisions on the placements in the countdown for the shows you may disagree with, you may agree with, but I just hope you overall enjoy it. So here we go. Alright, we start off the number 10 countdown with the number 10 cartoon that I feel of the 1980s. Again, you may agree with some of these decisions or not, but the number 10 cartoon is the Centurions. This was actually based on a toy line that came out back in the 80s. Basically, the premise of this show at the time was you had these 3 guys, and I think even a woman, I'm pretty sure of, I'm not really sure, that had these suits they wore, and when the time was necessary, they'd be able to use these suits to have some kind of technology, some kind of weaponry beamed down to them, and this weaponry would connect to the suits so that they could just use it. It's not like it's not like they would just pull the weapons out of the suits and just shoot them. No, the suits were the weapons were a part of the suits, almost like a part of them. So they were able to just use it. There was one guy that stood there and he had a gun on his thing, and it just came down and just shot everything. That was one of the to me, that's one of the reasons this show was pretty cool, and I did watch it when I was a kid. I actually had one of the action figures. I think I had the Ace McCloud action figure when I was a kid. I'm not really sure, but this was a pretty cool show, and I think it got replayed on Boomerang, Cartoon Network's Boomerang, not that long ago, a couple years back. I don't know if it's still being replayed on there, but if it is, check it out because it is a decent show. And that's why, despite what you may say about this, it's garnered the number 10 spot on the top 10 cartoons of the 80s. So there you go, number 10, Centurions. Alright, arriving at number 9. This is the first of our 3 ties that I've talked about. It's the first of our 3 ties, and this tie here at number 9 goes to none other, and again you may argue with this decision. It goes to He-Man and Shera. That's right, both He-Man and Shera at number 9 on the top 10 cartoons of the 80s. The reason they're tied up here is because both shows are basically set in the same timeline, different worlds though, but are basically almost similar in continuity. They have a lot of crossovers at times. In fact, Shera's first adventure, her pilot episodes, if you will, were actually the full-length movie Secret of the Sword, which was released in theaters in 1985. And that was at a time when, if you wanted to introduce, a cartoon series, I guess, to television, the best way to do it was feature a movie in theaters. But both were very good shows, and for me, it was kind of like, it was one of those shows that, as a kid, I would watch He-Man, and then my sisters would watch Shera. That's basically what it is. It's like I would watch my show, and then after He-Man came on, Shera would come on, Shera would come on, and my sisters would watch that. They were very good shows, no doubt about it. Definitely two of the best in the 80s. The 80s had to offer, and like I said, that is why they're tied up at number 9 as two of the best show. They're basically tied at number 9 here on the top 10 countdown. So, yeah, number 9, first tie out of the 3 ties I talked about. Number 9 is He-Man and Shera, and again, I know you might disagree with that, but this is just my opinion. So, number 9. First tie out of the 3 ties that I talked about, He-Man and Shera at number 9. Alright, coming in at number 8 on the top 10 cartoons of the 80s. Again, you may agree with this, may disagree with this, but coming in at number 8 is a show that was one of the many shows released courtesy of American Greetings, and this show is The Get Along Gang. This show was basically it was basically focused on this group of I believe 6 friends. 6 friends, or five to 6 friends, I believe, in the show. Actually, it was 6 friends. Yeah, 6 friends who had a clubhouse. It was a caboose. It was a clubhouse, and basically it was more of a, I guess you could call it. It was sort of like It was a cartoon for all ages, if you will, but it was sort of like one of the first educational related cartoons as well. Because I'll tell you this, if the E/I logo was around at that time, the E/I logo was around at that time, it would have been pasted right on top at the beginning of the show. And because it was that kind of show, it was a good show. It didn't have no violence whatsoever. It was a fun show to watch, and like I said, it was the kind of show that you could watch with your entire family, whether it was on Saturday or Sunday mornings. I mean, it got its start on CBS, that I remember, because that's when I first saw it when I was a kid. And again, overall was a fun show. Nothing really bad about it, and it did get replayed back in the late 90s, early 2000s on PAX TV, which is now ION TV. So that kind of shows you what kind of show it was. So overall, definitely a good show to check out if you ever have the chance. I'm pretty sure you could probably find it here on YouTube, maybe on Daily Motion. Maybe you can find a torrent. But definitely, if you can, check it out. It's definitely worth watching. It's like I said, it's a really a fun show. It's nothing really bad about it. So check it out. The number 8 cartoon on the top 10 cartoons of the 80s, Get Along Gang. Okay, coming in at number 7 on the top cartoons of the 1980s, it's another show released by American Greetings, and it's gone on to be one of the more popular shows that they've had. In fact, this show is not only based on a franchise, but it's also been spinned out and spawned from 3 separate movies. And I'm talking about none other than the Care Bears. That's right, the Care Bears. This show originated back in the early to mid 80s, originally by Dick Entertainment, and then taken over by Nirvana Animation, who did the movies. And they were on Saturday mornings for many years. I think they first started out on CBS, I believe. Then they moved to ABC. No, wait a minute. Actually, they started on ABC and they remained on ABC for most of the run on Saturday mornings. Then they went to syndication, and then they went to the Disney Channel, and then finally to Toon Disney. I don't know where they are now, channel-wise. I've heard rumors of them going to Boomerang. I've heard rumors of them going to Nickelodeon. I know that a lot of DVDs have come out lately, so there's still a lot of interest. In fact, they even had a new series come out recently on CBS, so that was pretty cool. And they had some new movies CGI-wise. But overall, the original Care Bears show from the mid-'80s to the late '80s and early '90s was definitely It was like the show before, like the show I mentioned before at number 8, the Get Along Gang. The Care Bears was an okay show for the entire family. It did have more adventure. I will say this: it did have more adventure. It did have more adventure than the Get Along Gang. So definitely, number 8 is the Care Bears. I mean, number 8, number 7, I should say, on the top 10 cartoons of the 80s, Care Bears. Alright, coming in at number 6 on the top cartoons of the 80s is none other than Jem. This is a personal favorite of one of my older sister, for the fact that she named my niece Jerica after the character Jerica in this cartoon. And I have to say, Jem was a pretty entertaining show. No matter if you think it was targeted towards girls or not, it was actually, to me at times, kind of in favor of both. It was kind of almost equaled out at times. And considering it was made in association with Hasbro and made by the same people that did Transformers and G.I. Joe, that tells you right there that this show is definitely a show that, when they created it, they didn't just want to target girls with it, they wanted to target everybody with it. And overall, it was a really pretty good show. I know some people nowadays complain about, let's say, the songs and shows and movies that are unnecessary. I tell you this: when they did the music videos or the music segments in Gem, they probably did better than what you see today, and that's hard to say, but they did a lot better than what you see today. So, even when the toys were shipped out, some of the toys, or even some of the VHS tapes that had episodes on there, would have, when you would purchase them, you would actually get, sometimes in a special offer, a tape with some of the songs. So that was pretty cool. But overall, Gem is definitely a show that it was on DVD for a short time, thanks to Rhino Entertainment, but now it hasn't been re-released in a while, so hopefully it will be soon. And if it ever is, check it out. If not, look here on YouTube, look for a torrent, check it out. It is a good show to watch. So, Gem at number 6 here on the top cartoons of the 1980s. Alright, at number 5, as we enter the top 5 of the top 10 cartoons of the 80s, number 5 is Jase and the Wheeled Warriors. Again, another show, I guess, based around a toy franchise, but this, believe it or not, was a very popular show. Even though I think it ran for one season or something like that in syndication, it was still very popular. I remember watching it when I was a kid on channel 44, I believe, KBHK. I never could get enough of this show. It was one of the best ones I'd ever seen. I think a lot of people would agree on the fact that it was one of the best shows that was ever on the air. Yes, the DVD has been released by Shout Factory. Yes, there have been single DVDs released by places like Sterling Animation and such. And if you can't so here's my suggestion: if you've never seen Jase and the Wheeled Warriors and you've only seen the intro, look on YouTube, look for a torrent, go to Netflix if you got Netflix, order put the DVDs into your video queue and watch them. Make copies of them if you want to, but watch them. This is a great show. It's very interesting. It's very intriguing. It's at times it's got a dark tone to it, so really check it out. Chasing the Real Warriors is a show that will get you talking and get the new generation today talking and seeing what animation was like for us back in the 80s. So, at number 5, Jase and the Real Warriors. Alright, at number 4 here on the top cartoons of the 80s, number 4 is Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. In case you don't know, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats were one of the shows back in the 80s that ran for 3 years, 3 seasons just about, and it was a very, very funny show. It's currently being rerun on the This TV network, which is sort of like a subsidiary network or channel of your NBC networks, your local NBC network. So if you want to catch it on This TV, all depending on what time it comes on in the morning. It's on weekday mornings. Here in the Pacific, it's on at 4 So I guess it's going by local time zones. So if you live like in the east, it's at 7. In the Midwest, it's at 6, and in the mountains, it's 5. So, but definitely, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats is a very, very good show. The one that, and I'll tell you this, even though Heathcliff was the main, his cartoons were like the first ones shown. The cartoons that came after it, the Cadillac Cat cartoons, are the ones that really got a cult following, got people talking, because it was like, here's a gang of cats that went on these world, almost went on every kind of adventure you could think of, not just locally in their hometown, but all over the world. I mean, they've gone to Africa, they've gone to Alaska, they've gone on cruises, they've gone on the water to Atlantis. These cats, the Cadillac Cats, really, to me, helped put this show on the map. And again, if you want to check it out on This TV, which is a subsidiary channel of your local NBC networks. Check it out, you'll like it. So, number 4, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. Alright, number 3 here on the top cartoons of the 1980s is a personal favorite of mine, G.I. Joe. And if you don't know about G.I. Joe, then where have you been? G.I. Joe is, quite frankly, one of the best animated shows of the 80s. It's one of the shows that they have revived throughout the years, even now with G.I. Joe Renegades. I mean, they even gone out and did their own adult and more mature version of G.I. Joe with G.I. Joe Resolute. So, if there's any show that deserves to be in the top 3, it's G.I. Joe, the original 1980s cartoon. Definitely a show that, if you've not seen it, again, where have you been? It's been released by Rhino Animation. It's been re-released and currently available by Shout Factory. If you ever get a chance, check this show out. You can check it out on the Hub on weeknights, Monday through Thursdays. Check it out on the Hub at 9:30 at night, or 10:30, or whatever the times you have it comes on where you are. Check it out. It's a great, great show. I mean, you can't say much about it. It's had an animated feature. That animated feature has been re-released with commentary as one of its bonus features. It's had a live-action movie. I mean, what more can you ask for? So, definitely a good choice in the number 3 spot, G.I. Joe. Number 3 cartoon, the number 3 cartoon in the top 10 cartoons of the 1980s. Alright, at number 2, again, it's the second of our 3 ties in this countdown. Number 2, tied at number 2, is 2 shows that I thoroughly enjoy, and I know a lot of people have enjoyed. They've had long runs on television. And I'm talking about, first of all, the Raccoons, which was a great show. It was originally, the Raccoons originally started in 1980 with the Christmas Raccoons, had some spin-off specials like the Raccoons and the Lost Star, and then a straight to video VHS special called the Raccoons, I think, Dance Special or something like that. I can't think of the name right now. And then they had an animated series aired on Disney Channel here in the US. The series ran basically from 85 to 92. And the first couple of seasons mainly had the characters from the specials and all that. And then it started to focus more on the Raccoons themselves. It introduced new characters. It introduced Ralph and Melissa's nephew, Bentley. It introduced the statuesque niece named Lisa, who became the love interest of Bert. And one of the other characters, I think Sophia, who was Cedric's love interest, disappeared. I guess got removed from the cast or something like that. And then later on down the line, not Cedric, but Cyril started to become more environmental friendly. So it's a very good show. It had a great long run for 7 years as a series. Overall, it had a 12-year run. The series was released in 2 box sets, as far as I know, by CBC Home Video a couple years ago. So it's a definitely good series. If you want to try to find it, there's a site out there. It's called raccoons.ru. It's got some of the episodes. If not, torrent these episodes, because A majority of these torrents, if not the site that I talk about, will have all the episodes you're looking for from all the seasons. So definitely check them out. They will even have the specials. There were plans for a movie to be released east in theaters, I believe, called As Long as Forever or something like that. Called As Long as Forever, the Raccoons movie. So I don't know if that's still gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna get back to work on that, or if they're going to just abandon that entirely because they haven't worked on it in years. There's been no news. But if they work on it again, or start reworking on it, that'll be a great revival for the series. But Raccoons definitely a great series. That's why it's tied up here at number 2 with another great animated series that had a long run, almost a 10-year run, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course, originally started in '84 as a dark comic book by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Got turned into a series in '87, ran till '96, and as they started getting into the later years, up to the 8th season, 9th season, and 10th season, they started to represent more of the darker side of them, more of a representation of what the live-action movies were. And that was another thing about this franchise. Not only was it very popular show-wise and comic book-wise because of its original Image comic, not Image comic, but its original Mirage comic, and then later on its comics with Archie Comics, and not just because of but because of all this together, they had 3 live-action movies. The third one is very up in the air because some people like it, some people don't. They had a revival recently in the early 2000s and up till now. They had a movie come out in 2007, which was CGI, called TMNT, and then they had a 25th anniversary animated movie, which was sort of like a crossover of all the ages of all the generations of the Turtles. You had the Mirage Turtles, you had the 80s, 90s Turtles when they were during that show, as well as you had the current Turtles from the from the 4Kids series. So the movie was great. But if it wasn't for this animated series overall, there would not be any of this. So definitely check this out. This series is out on DVD. All the episodes are on DVD as far as I know still, unless Nickelodeon and Paramount pulled them off the shelves and they want to release them themselves. But if you can find them still, check them out. They're very, very good. I'll tell you this, you cannot check out these shows on YouTube because of copyright infringement from Lionsgate. Lionsgate will not allow people here in the U.S. to see it. But if you can find torrents on them, if you can find sites with the episodes, go ahead, watch them. They're very good. And again, if it wasn't for this series, this 80s series, this first animated series, there wouldn't be none of what I talk about. So tied at number 2 is Ninja Turtles and Raccoons. All right, and now the number 1 animated show of the 1980s. Again, it's a tie between 2 series. The first series being from Disney, none other than Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. That's right, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers to me is the number 1 animated cartoon, one of the number 1 animated cartoons of the 1980s because it was different than anything you'd ever seen before. In fact, despite the fact that the show that came before it, DuckTales, had a full-length feature in theaters, Rescue Rangers, by far, if you can ask anybody, was Disney's most popular animated show, first in syndication, regular syndication, and then later on the Disney Afternoon. It was one of the most popular animated shows they had because the characters, the stories. I mean, you had Chip 'n Dale, classic characters. You had Monterey Jack, a strong man, had the weakness for cheese. You had Gadget, who is a mechanical genius and can become a true femme fatale if she needed to be on missions. You had Zipper, who had speed, and then you had all these one-shot characters. You had characters like Tammy, who had a crush on Chip in one of the first episodes. You had Foxglove, who had a crush on Dale in the later episodes in her only appearance, and so on. I mean, they just had great adventures. The stories were great. I mean, they went all over the world, not just in town. And here's the thing: they didn't just fight the regular villains. They didn't just fight guys like Professor Nimnol and Fat Cat and all that, and Rat Capone. They fought all kinds of villains. I mean, in Ireland, they took on a banshee and killed the banshee. They took on a renegade cult leader or cult assistant and beat him. I mean, it's just overall, it's just, this series was just a tremendous series to watch. And luckily, unfortunately, the first 2 volumes have been released, which means most of the series is on DVD, not all of it. I wish it was, but most of it is. But if you can find torrents on this, if you can find it on YouTube, watch this series if you've never seen it before. And if you want to, subscribe to the new comic book by Boom Studios, because Boom Studios, writer Ian Blinn, I think that's Ian Bill, I don't know what his name is, but he's the one that brought him back, and he's the reason that the revival, that people are talking about them again. I mean, you take a look at the recent issue, the newest issue in this 8-issue series that he's got planned, and you got Foxglove back. Foxglove is back, and there might be more to Foxglove and Dale than we ever thought. So definitely check this series out if you ever get the chance on YouTube, torrents, whatever. Check it out. It's a great show. And you'll see why many consider it one of Disney's, if not Disney's, best overall animated show of all time. And then tied up with it at number 1 is a show, again, I grew up with in the 80's. It's had a movie, it's had a revival in the theaters with 2 movies, a 3rd movie coming out in July. It's had multiple series. It's got a new series coming out on the Hub next month. It's got its original series on the Hub as we speak, weeknights, Monday through Thursdays at 9 o'clock. I'm talking about Transformers. Transformers, oh my God. If you want to watch a good series, no matter what people may say about it, this is a series to watch, because it's just a great series. It's just tremendous. I mean, the first season kind of is more of an introductory season. It's kind of very lighthearted and all that at times. But as we get into the second and third season, it really starts getting dark, and they start, taking their adventures more into space and onto Cybertron and places like that. Overall, it's just a tremendous series. The movie, if you ever see the movie, check it out. The original 1986 movie, check it out. It is a great movie, no matter what people say. And you'll see why people were happy to see these live-action films, why people are happy to see these revivals in the past few years. So, but overall, it's just a tremendous, tremendous series. I mean, you cannot go anywhere. You cannot go to a comic book con. You cannot go to any kind of convention without talking to somebody about Transformers, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. If you say, if you ask them, do you know anything about Transformers G1, they will know. So it's that big. It's that big of a phenomenon. So definitely check it out. It comes on weeknights, Monday through Thursday, on the Hub at 9 o'clock. Check it out. Its entire series is on DVD, thanks to Shout Factory, as well as Rhino. I don't know if the Rhino ones are still out. I have the Rhino ones, but the Shout Factories are the ones that are being sold the most right now. Definitely check it out if you ever get the chance. Get the movie. Get the 20th anniversary edition, I suggest, of the original 86 movie. That will be something to watch, believe me. So overall, those are my two. Those are the 2 animated series, Transformers and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, that I consider the number 1, tied up as the number 1 animated series of the 1980s. So that's all I'm going to say about this now. I thank you all for watching this. I'm sorry if there's any noise in the background. I had to turn on the NFL network because one of my family members who I live with got up, and usually they like to ask questions and all that about what I'm doing, so I have to figure a way to distract them. So overall, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I know some of you may not agree with some of the slots that I put some of these shows on, or some of these shows even being in the countdown. You'll probably ask me, what about these other shows? You may mention some. Believe me, I'll probably do I'll do another countdown maybe for the underrated ones, the ones that people don't talk about the most anymore or don't acknowledge. So overall, though, I thank you all for watching and listening. So until next time, peace out.